In my previous video, we talked about the Common-Emitter amplifier and how to determine the input impedance and output impedance of the Common-Emitter amplifier. We talked a little bit about why that matters, especially when it comes to coupling multiple circuits together or cascading them together. In today's follow-up video, we'll take a look at cascading these amplifiers together and see how the input and output impedances of the stages interact and how it affects the performance. So if you looked at the last video, and I'll link that down below, we looked at this particular amplifier here and calculated out the input impedance to be about 6.5 k ohms and the output impedance to basically be about 6.8 k. And this amplifier like this, with the emitter not bypassed, gives us a gain of about 6.6. We'll start off by simply cascading the two amplifiers together. I'm just using some electrolytic capacitors for the inputs and outputs and coupling, just so I don't have to worry about any biasing issues. So the first thing we'll do is take a look to be sure that both these amplifiers are behaving exactly the same way. So currently I'm using the first amplifier that we had done in the first video here, and if we zoom in on the scope, remember the scope is automatically calculating the gain for us, so we can see that the gain here is about 6.6, 6.7 is bouncing around back and forth. So that's for the first amplifier. So let's move channel 2 to the output of the second amplifier here and move the input to the input of the second amplifier. And here if we take a look again at the gain, so this is the second amplifier here, so we could again see that that gain is again about the same, 6.7 or so. So we know both those amplifiers are behaving the same way. Now since both those amplifiers have a gain of about 6.5, 6.6, we'd expect if we cascade them together, the overall voltage gain should be a little over 40. So let's move my input signal back to the input of the first amplifier here. We'll take the output of that first amplifier and couple that to the input of the second amplifier stage and adjust channel 2 so we're not clipping. And now if we take a look at our overall gain here, it's showing at about 21.8, 21.7, almost 22. Well, that's a far cry from the 40 or 42 that we were expecting. Let's look at why we got a gain of about 22 volts per volt. Well, the input impedance of the second stage really effectively appears in parallel with the output of the load impedance of the first stage. Thus, the load that the first stage sees is really the collector resistor in parallel with the input impedance of the second stage. So again, that's that 6.8 k ohm resistor and the 6.5 k ohm input impedance of that second stage. That results in an effective load on that transistor of only 3.3 k. So that makes the gain of that first stage now drop to essentially 3.3 k divided by about 1 k, or a gain of about 3.3. So the overall gain then is going to be 3.3 on the first stage and then the 6.6 on the second stage, which gives us that gain of 22. Let's verify that's what we're seeing here on the output of the first stage. Alright, so let's move our channel 2 probe back to the output of the first stage here. And let me adjust my voltage scale here. And I'm going to disconnect the connection to the second stage. So again, we're back to that 6.7 voltage gain there, and by simply connecting up the two stages together, we can see the gain is dropped. If we zoom in on that, we can see that that gain is now dropped to about 3.3 or so, which is about what we expect. Okay, so how do we mitigate this? Well, we can certainly use an emitter follower between the stages, and that'll fix this. An emitter follower has got a high input impedance, so it won't load the first stage, and has a low output impedance, so its output is not going to be affected by the input impedance of the second stage. I did a video not that long ago on the emitter follower and talked all about these properties, and you can view that in video number 356, which I'll link down below. So our resulting circuit looks like this. Here's our existing first stage, the existing second stage, and I'm simply putting an emitter follower in between to buffer between those two stages. I'm not doing anything special for biasing here. I'm just letting whatever bias I have at the output of the collector be the input of the emitter follower. and just a nice light 20k ohm load to bias that emitter follower on, and then AC couple that stage into the existing second stage here. Okay, so let's move our channel 2 probe back to the output of the second stage here. And we're going to take our output from the first stage and couple it to the input of the emitter follower. Take the output of the emitter follower here, and let's tie that into the input of the second stage. And adjust channel 2 so we're not overranging, and we can take a look now and see what our gain is. So we zoom in here and we can see our gain is now about 42. We were expecting about 42 or 43. So we've been able to preserve our gain. Now, just to verify that the gain is largely unaffected by tying into the input of the emitter follower, let's look again back at the output of the first stage here. And clip onto that wire there. And readjust my channel 2 here. Again, you just kind of watch the output of the channel 2 voltage there. If I simply disconnect the connection to the emitter follower input, very little change in amplitude. I connect it back up again, because that input impedance of the emitter follower is high enough that it's not affecting the collector load on stage 1. So we can see now that the gain is preserved on the first stage because of the higher input impedance of the emitter follower, and the overall gain of the cascaded amplifiers is closer to what we expect, about 42 or 43. Just a few closing thoughts on these circuits and the calculations that we got. You'll notice that the calculated gain and the measured gain are off by a few percent, and that's really to be expected. There are several things that we haven't taken into account in doing those calculations. Things like the resistor tolerances, the effect of the small signal emitter resistance on the overall gain, and things like that. But for first order approximations of what we're doing, the calculations are perfectly fine. Now, the values used in these example circuits for gain and the resistor values may not apply to your particular situation, and in fact probably won't. But the purpose here was really just to illustrate the effect of input and output impedance and how you can mitigate some of those loading effects by using something like a buffer amplifier, like a common collector, or otherwise known as an emitter follower amplifier. Well, if you like this video, give me a thumbs up. And if you haven't done so already, consider subscribing. And thanks again, as always, for watching. We'll see you next time.